Welcome back to the Head and Heart podcast, possibly the worst podcast out there. As always, I'm the heart, the bloke who spends way too much money on punting and loses all the time, and the head, the bloke who does the exact same thing but thinks he's better than me. Big week of footy. Let's get into it. So, how'd you go last week?
On the bets placed on the pod, I went 2 of 6. It's annoying because I didn't actually get on some of those bets because that was laid out. So, it's annoying to try to make tips earlier in the week and then obviously a lot of team changes later in the week, especially during buy round. So, from the bets posted on the pod, it was a $343.50 loss, but actually for the week overall, I made $194.36 profit. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. I had a very similar problem where I had a lot of laid outs as well. So, a lot of my bets were made void. I was 1 from 5 and got lucky, and then I'm only down 25 bucks.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's jump into each game from last round. First, we'll just quickly touch on Origin. It was a pretty good night for the both of us, I think.
Yeah, made some good money on that one. Lovely game to watch. It was great to be around the boys at the pub. I
Yeah,
could not want to be around a better group of blokes. To be honest, love to see it.
yeah, facts. Yeah, obviously I had New South Wales head to head. The head in the heart bet was New South Wales and Lomax to score,
Easy
which
money.
got up. What was your best bet? I forget.
I believe mine was New South Wales 13 plus with Zach Lomax, and I think Latrell Mitchell thrown in there as well.
Yeah, nice. So some very good winners for the both of us. Um, yeah, actually, I'm looking at what you had. Lomax, Latrell, New South Wales 13 plus. So some big wins for us in that game. But
Easy money, easy money. That
yeah, as we move on to the round, it wasn't as great for the both of us. The first game of the round was the Bulldogs versus the Sharks. The Bulldogs got up by one in the end, 15-14. This was one of the games for myself that I didn't actually end up betting on because there was some late-ins like Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. So just saw no value in the 4.5 line. The line dropped to 3.5, and then Crichton was confirmed in, and it went back out to 4.5, which made no sense to
that's
me.
really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't get on, which is good because the doggies ended up winning. But what about yourself for having this one?
Yeah, so I had the Bulldogs just straight up head to head. I don't know how, given Critter was a maybe, but they were still at $2.50 outsiders.
Yeah.
So I got on that heavily and got lucky that Nico Hines cannot kick a field goal to save his life.
Yeah.
I was quite literally shitting myself thinking my bet is over here and there. And then Nico Hines somehow shanks it from 10 in front. Like, you have to see it to believe it.
Yeah. But good bet in the end. Even if it lost, it's probably not still not a bad bet considering they were outsiders. Um, the next game of the round was the Warriors versus the Broncos. Warriors won 32-16. This is another one of those ones. The Broncos ended up resting a lot of their origin players before the game, so I jumped on the Warriors -1.5, which did get up, but obviously not counted in my best bet record because I didn't give that one out on the pod. But what about yourself?
Yeah, so I had a double barrel bet on again. So I had CNK, DWZ, RTS, CHT, TMM, and AFB to score. 4 of 6 of those scored. In fact, everyone did except Fanua Blake and somehow CNK. And to be honest, I was quite literally cheering that on at one point. I seriously thought it'd get up, but it just never happened. I was so close. Do you not see the fact that the first 2 tries were from the double? Actually, no, so yeah, first 2 tries were from the halves, who I thought were probably the least likely to score, and they somehow both scored.
Yeah, I think they both have a pretty good knack of finding the try line, CHT and TMM. So
Yeah,
yeah, maybe not the least. Like I'm trying to think. Obviously, DWZ is like AFB is pretty likely. Who else was there? RTS.
RTS as well. Like all 4 of those somehow the 2 least likely to score did. Like I thought AFB would be an easy stroll over, but he didn't show up that game, and I
Mm.
think CNK might be injured as well.
Yeah, CNK. Yeah, don't know exactly what's going on there, but we'll get into that later. Firstly, let's jump into the next game of the round, which was the game of the round. The
Indeed, game of the
Knights
round.
versus the Eels. The Knights ended up winning by 8 in the end. A few Bradman beast
Indeed.
quakes.
He went beast mode, am I right?
Yep. But what did you have in this game? I presume you were on the Knights.
Yeah, so I believe in the concept of things that keep on happening will keep on happening. So I had Knights to win, Fletcher Sharp to keep on scoring, and then as always, I always get on blokes who on their debut, being Will Price. Will Price scored the first try. That was very fun to watch, but unfortunately, there was no Fletcher Sharp try. So close, but no cigar.
Yeah, I also jumped on Will Price, and that netted me a nice little profit, which you can see in the spreadsheet there. So um, another one of those ones that I jumped on.
Yeah, debutantes keep
Um,
on scoring. Like this, it straight up just keeps on happening.
yeah, I think Will Price though is like a very good option. He's
Yeah,
like
it's
very
very handsome.
attack, so a good option for a try scorer. But yeah, maybe other
Mm.
aspects of his game not as good, which sort of were highlighted in Mitchy Moses running through him a few times. But
Yeah, you win
that's
some,
not
lose
here,
some.
or we won, so who cares? The next game of the round is the Storm versus the Raiders. Storm won 16-6 in the end. Another game, the Storm rested a few players for this one in the end. What did you have in this game?
Yeah, so from memory, I had the Storm, Pappenhausen, and Coates. This bet was void for me as Pappenhausen didn't start, and I
Yeah.
believe pretty lucky as well. I think Coates went down halfway through.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, Coates was injured, I'm pretty sure. For myself, I had the Raiders plus 15 and a half earlier in the week and then ended up getting on the plus 13 and a half right after some of the team news around like Pappenhausen and Grant was confirmed. And that ended up winning either way. You took that one, so happy to get a
Not
win in
bad,
this
not bad at all.
one. Then we got into Sunday, which I had an absolute shocker on Sunday. The first game of Sunday was Dragons versus the Dolphins. Dragons ended up winning 26-6. What did you have in this one?
From memory, I had the Dragons, I believe, 13 plus, and Zach Lomax scoring. Unfortunately, you can't win all of them as Lomax was dropped as a laid out.
Yeah,
What do you have?
I had the Dolphins in this one. I mean, obviously not a good bet because it lost by quite a lot, but JMK going down and they're playing very limited minutes. It's pretty big part of their team, in my opinion. So tough to see that. Just means you don't really have a good read on whether how bad or how good of a bet it was. But yeah, either way, it didn't win. So moving on. The next game of the round was the Cowboys versus the Panthers. Um, both teams relatively depleted. Both missing a lot of their origin stars. What did you have in this one?
Yeah, so I had the Panthers, I believe 13 plus, or maybe even 19 and a half, I can't recall. And then I also had Bizza to score. So luckily for me, that bet has been void.
Yeah, I had kind of similar. I had the Panthers minus 11 and a half, which was could not be further from what happened. I got on when the Cowboys players were all confirmed out, and then later in the week, all the Panthers players were confirmed out as well, which was a bit tough. But the line didn't really shift back too much, so can't really be too upset about the laid outs for the Panthers. Just yeah, in the end, not a good bet. Probably should have waited till game day to get on that one, but yeah, just moving on. The final game of the round was the Roosters versus the Tigers. The Roosters absolutely humped them 40-6. What did you have for that one?
I believe I had Roosters at negative 19 and a half, and they had Dom Young and Gus Crichton to score. So as a side note as well, I had money on this game for Dom Young, Terrell May, James Tedesco, and Crichton to score. I was posting in the group chat saying I put this bet on accidentally. Surely Gus doesn't play 80. At one point, I could have cashed out for 150 bucks. It was paying 100 to 1. Every other person scored except Gus, and that shows you how unlucky I am.
Yeah, tough, man.
Like there were multiple points where if they just held onto the ball, Gus would have strolled through, but no, they just have to drop it every time. It was cursed.
Yeah, cursed, mate.
Mm.
Absolutely robbed.
Yeah. So do you have any money in this one at all, or?
I had the Roosters 1-23. I don't know. Plenty of stuff went wrong for the Tigers, but still probably not a good bet in the end. Just tough, annoying super coach as well with Appy there. But yeah, you take your licks in that one, you move on. Just an awful Sunday down like 500 bucks on that Sunday alone, which is pretty annoying.
Yeah, it's not
Um,
great.
yeah. So let's move. briskly on from those games. Let's jump. Well, firstly, we should probably touch on the side bets. So obviously we had the Sharks versus the Bulldogs head to head, which you got up on because the Bulldogs got home in the end. We also were on Eli Katoa, whether he was going to score, and he didn't.
He
So
did not, unfortunately.
I got up on that one, and then you had the Dragons over the Dolphins, and so you obviously got up on that one. So it was 2-1 to yourself this week. The record's now 3-3. So pretty tight for this round of side bets. You still haven't done your punishment for the last round of side bets.
Yeah, we have to work out
Figure
what I'm
out
actually
what that
doing
is.
first.
Workshop that,
Yeah, we'll get there eventually.
or someone can leave something in the comments.
Mm.
But yeah, we'll figure something out for that one.
I mean, if
Super
you can, if
Coach.
you end up losing this one, we could do like a dual, like McDonald's 24 burger challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that might be funny to do that.
And I'm actually kind of worried. I reckon I could do it in like 15 minutes if I needed to, but then I have to live with
24
myself.
burgers.
I reckon I probably could. I reckon I could eat 24 burgers in 15 minutes.
I reckon that's fucked. There's no way.
I mean, I'd feel awful after doing it, but
Side bet whether you can eat 24 burgers. First side bet of the round.
oh fuck, man, I'd die. Imagine the fucking like the first shit you take after that.
Yeah, no, that would be a punish. Let's jump into our super coach ranks. So how'd you go this round and where's your super coach rank at now?
Yep, so I am up about 2,000 places after my atrocious form last week. I'm now 41,212, with a total score of 1050 for the week. How about yourself?
Yeah, nice. I had a total of 1,062. Pretty mixed week. Had a decent captain in Hughes, I think it was. But then had scores like Appy, had Manu with going off there, and so pretty mixed week. Missed out on Teddy, and I was sort of death riding Teddy for the last game, knowing that a lot of people had him captain, and he went massive. So bit annoying of a round, but my rank sort of maintained, so it's okay. We sort of move on. This week, hopefully, is a big one, and we can sort of talk to our trades and why that might be the case. But firstly, we'll jump into the bets for the week. The head and heart bet of the week, the best segment of this show. We've won two of these now. So let's jump into that. What do we have for this week?
Yep, so I've got Manly head to head with, again, a fan favorite of this show, Zach Lomax, anytime try scorer at the magical number of $4.20. Can't
Yeah,
see this one not winning.
I think massive moments around that margin. That sorry,
That,
those
yeah,
odds, the 420 there.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think that definitely slaps. For myself, probably best bet of the round in the same vein, it would be Manly head to head. Manly, I like a lot because of their inclusions this week. I think you talk obviously to the Cowboys inclusions, which is all those Origin players. Like people will generally say, "Oh, they had all these Origin players out last week and they still won." You're forgetting the fact that Penrith had some pretty key players out last week as well, and you're also discarding how important these Manly players that are coming back are. I think DCE is way more important for Manly than any of those players are that are coming in for the Cowboys. And then you add on top of that Tom Trbojevic, you add on top of that Ruben Garrick and Ruben Garrick's goal kicking and Ola Kawatu. Like, I think they're all way bigger ins than pretty much any of the ins in that Cowboys team, considering some of the depth in the positions that those Cowboys players were out. I don't think Manly have the same sort of depth in the same positions. So
Fair enough.
Manly head to head.
That's understandable. The only real thing I'd have with your bet is that Turbo's back, but he's playing center. Like, how much can he do at center compared to fullback? We don't know that yet.
Well, I mean, I don't know how short your memory is, mate, but State of Origin a few years ago when he's playing in the center, he was pretty fucking good. So
Yeah, but he's still not. He probably isn't 100%. That's why he's playing at center. Like, what can he effectively do if he's playing at 80% peak fitness?
I think it's more the re-injury risk is why they're looking to play him at center. I don't think they would risk him if they thought he was just going to get sorry, if they thought he wasn't ready to go. So like, of course, it is a risk. You're 100% right in that there is the risk that he's not fully 100%.
Yep.
But I'd much rather have Tom Trbojevic in my team than not. So
Yeah,
feel good
fair
about
enough.
Manly this week. But
Yeah,
what
fair
about
enough.
yourself?
I get where you're coming from, but with all due respect, New South Wales is the Manly Sea Eagles, which is why I don't think he'll do that great at centre.
Fair enough. What's your bet for this round?
Yep. So on a different note, I think the Knights are picking up a role, especially with the King himself back. Knights to win against Canberra with Ponga, Best, and Greg Marju anytime try score is at 10.75. He's going to absolutely pepper that left wing. It finally seems like he's got two halves who are quite competent. They know what they're doing and they are willing to pass the ball and they are giving time to pass the ball. With that, not the Knives half situation sorted, so I think Newcastle win and win comfortably.
Yeah, fair enough. And you think with Ponga back, they're going to hit that left side pretty hard, so that makes sense.
If they don't, I'll start doing some gobbling because I don't know what else is going to happen. To be honest,
Nice. Let's talk trades for the round. For myself, probably one of the trades that I've been earmarking, looking forward to for quite a while now. That's Sam Walker to Nico Hines. Sam Walker sort of maxing out in price and Nico Hines bottoming out in price. I understand some people might not want to trade Sam Walker out, but with a 56 on the weekend in a team that scored 40 points in goal kicking, and he looked good, but it didn't really reflect in his Supercoach score. I'm much happier to go to a Nico Hines for around the same price. He's got the Titans and the Tigers in the next two, and they've got a good run home as well. So I think this is the week to jump on Hines if you haven't already. And I'm probably going to straight captain him as well. Spoilers. But
fair enough. Do you think he's going to bounce back after last week, after he seemed to have no confidence whatsoever?
yeah, and yeah, that'll probably talk. I'll talk to my bet in that game as well, but we can get into the Sharks' confidence and how they'll go this week once we get to that game.
Fair enough.
What about yourself? What do you have in this round in trades wise?
Yeah, so I trust my team. I think I've got like 12 trades left at most. I'm doing all right, fine enough. I'm just focusing on the head-to-head games now, so I am not taking any trades.
Yeah, I remember was the last round, no, the round before. And you said you weren't making any trades
Yeah, then
for,
I made three, so I kind of
and
screwed
I was
myself.
like, I just assumed that you must have a team that's like you've got it way like easily enough players in your team. You had like
No,
eight.
I just didn't. I didn't even think about it to be honest. Like I thought I did, then I realized I quite literally had six.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, you win some, you
Do
lose
you have
some.
enough players this round? No, I presume you would if it's
I mean, there's
yeah,
8 games this week, is there not?
yeah, like everyone's playing. So
I
presume
really hope I have enough players.
yeah, no, you I mean, I presume you do.
Who
Um,
knows? Might have to double check to see if I do have 10 players.
yeah, no, you've definitely 10,
10. Big
17.
guesses.
Yeah, no, your team looks fine from what I'm looking at. You might want to
Yeah.
not play Fletcher Sharp, but no.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so fair enough. In terms of best trades for the round, is there any particular player that screams out to you?
I mean, as a Knights fan, surely you have to get behind Ponga. He did it last year. He'll do it again this year. He's going to finish strong, you'd hope, and you probably think as well. So I think he could be a big buy, especially if he plays 80 this week.
As a Knights fan, the number one traded in player this week is Greg Marzu. So,
Really? Okay.
Knights fan, would you be looking at Greg Marzu?
Well, I think we've kind of seen that he's finally found his form. I can completely understand why you trade him now. Is he 550 or is he a bit less than that?
500, 505,
500. Ooh, that is a very, very enticing price. I do like that.
284K down from his starting price this season. So,
Yeah, so it
good
seems like
find.
he's finally got that combination with Bradman Best going again. So I am more than happy to pick him up if you see him available on your team.
Yeah, Ponga coming back in, it's probably not a bad idea. And this is probably the round to jump, especially considering he play around 19 as well. His price is only going to go up. Can all things like because he's got a negative break even this week. So yeah,
When's the night's last buy? Is it round 21 or
I
20?
think I don't know. I don't know. Maybe double check that yourself. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
so look.
But
Yep, 21. I was
20, yeah,
right.
21 ring the bell. So yeah. But yeah, with Ponga coming back, he is a good option. The only thing for me is if I'm trading someone around that price range, I want it to be basically someone that I can almost like earlier in the season. It's got to be like a stud, someone I'm playing every week. I think Marzu towards the end of the season going to be playing a matchup, so I'm trying to target like save my trades so I can get in someone like a low max someone like I'm trying to think like a Karaz or someone like that. I don't know. That's just off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm trying to save my trades so I can pretty much only get guns or cover injuries. And at the moment, Mars is neither of those, even though we did have a really good game, and easily could be. It's a risk I'm willing to take to let him go through the keeper this round.
Yeah, fair enough. That I
Also,
understand that. Yeah.
yeah, also like the players that I would trade out are playing round 19 or yeah, I just don't really have a good player to trade out as well. So there's that factor as well.
Yeah,
But
fair enough. That's completely understandable.
yeah, can understand it outside of that. Outside of that, we'll jump into it more when we get into the game. Obviously, I'm a fan of Nico Hines, as I've already mentioned, but let's jump into the games and we can talk through each game in particular. So the first game of the round is the Eels versus the Rabbitohs. Um, Rabbitohs players back in the team like your Latrells. These Eels players, maybe some become popular. Is there anyone that you like as a trade in or you don't like as a trade out?
Yeah, look, if you can wait until round 20, I think Mitchell Moses, if you have the money for him, would be a great lock. It's more than likely he will end up playing round, 27, the final round of the year, because the Eels are nowhere. I'm sorry, pardon me. The Eels probably won't make finals this year. They won't rest players. And again, that's something you need to start thinking about now as well. If you do bring in a gun player in a gun team, will he play round 27?
Yeah.
It seems to be happening more and more often. We saw it last year with the Knights. I think Melbourne, Penrith did the same thing, and they're using that week as a bye week, but they're still playing if that makes sense. So these players will start getting rested, and I think Mitch Moses is good coverage for that final round.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Especially like Storm players, considering they're coming first now. So if you go to Jerome Hughes, someone like that, you could think about Mitch Moses. For mine, I think I'd rather go Nico. Like I think they could easily be around the fourth, fifth, and he'll probably want to play
Yeah,
just to push them into the top four if they are in that sort of position. So I yeah, I think I'm happy to go Nico as my one for now and then sort of figure it out later in the season. But yes, definitely
fair
later
enough.
in the season could be a play. The number one most traded in player this round from both of these teams is Damien Cook at
Okay.
1.3%. Do you see any appeal in Cookie?
I just think there's better options with Cookie, and now he's on the outer of the club. There's no guarantee he's going to play 80 minutes every week as well. I just don't think he's a great pickup in the current environment.
Yeah, I think there's probably definitely better options. He is, though, coming off scores of 111 last game and 95 the game before that. So he is in good form at the moment. People are probably looking to jump on with a 17 break even, but for mine, I don't think you need Damien Cook at this point in time. I don't
Yeah,
think.
no, it's definitely true. Like if you don't have the cash right now, then I think it's a bit too late anyway. There's no point in building right now.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, well, if I guess there's no real massive trade-ins and trade-outs outside of cookies at quite a fair way ahead of others. I mean, a few people trading in the trail probably wouldn't be super interested in that with him probably playing. I mean, he was definitely going to play
Yeah, he's
Origin
playing
3.
Origin 3 at this point. Like he would quite literally have to play with like he'd be having to miss a leg to not play Origin. Like, he'll play through anything at this point.
Yeah. Another one I'll pose to you, Alex Johnston at 372K. Is there any appeal to you there?
The problem is AJ will score a try and he'll still be scoring 40s and 50s. I just don't think he does enough in base to justify getting it.
He definitely doesn't do it enough in base, but at 372K, if he goes on a tear, he can easily score a hattie and pull out 100. So
But
at
the
a
problem with AJ,
372,
he'll score a Hattie and he'll still only have 80. Like I just don't see the point in getting it. Like he just doesn't do enough work within his own half. He doesn't run the ball enough. He is, for all, I don't mean to be offensive to him at all, but he is a pick up and put down merchant, and he just doesn't really do much outside of that.
yeah, I mean, regardless of him being a pickup put down merchant, he did have. I'm gonna look at last year's stats because I remember him having some big games. He had 122 at one point, had 107. He had some scores in the 80s. So I think he's the type of player that you could 80s and 90s. Sorry, he's the type of player you could pick up and because you're going to get to a point at the end of the season where you have seven like reasonably strong center wings, and you can filter them in and out based on matchup. I think you want
Okay.
to have about three that you're looking to play almost every week, which is like your low max, probably. I don't know. You can chuck
Garrick as well. Yeah,
Garrick, yeah,
Garrick. Yeah.
probably players like that in that ilk. But Alex Johnson's the sort of player that you could pick up at a cheap price and rotate him when they have games against
Okay. Yeah,
teams
I
that
see
can
where you're
hit
coming from.
opponents.
I don't mind that, but to
Yeah.
me, I just don't see the point of getting a player for 360k unless you know he's gonna do well. And with Johnson, there's no guarantee for that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's the sort of play where you're looking for guaranteed points. It's the sort of play where you're looking to play a matchup. So don't hate it, but I'm not looking to waste the trade in the center wing at this point. But don't hate it as another option for center wing. Um, but yeah, no one else I really love outside of that. Another one is Blaze Talangi. A lot of people obviously would be still holding Blaze Talangi. What would you be doing with him at this point in time?
Yeah, look, at this point in the season, he's basically got a starting spot locked down now, so you just may as well keep him. Keep him
Yeah.
if you want to play him on matchup. If not, don't worry about not playing him.
He's 600k though, so you would get a decent chunk of change if you sold him, like especially in this sort of situation, like to AJ. Um,
Yeah, I can see that as well. It really just depends on what suits your team, really.
yeah, for mine, I'm happy to hold him because he does play round 19, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, he does play round 19. So I'm going to hold him at least through round 19 and then maybe look to move off him after that to someone like a Lomax. But that's in the future and something we can worry about then. Let's talk betting in this game. What's sort of tickling your fancy in this one?
Yeah, so I honestly think the Eels just do not have it in them this year. I think we saw with the Knights game that if anything gets close, they'll just end up doing something really silly. I just think the Rabbitohs are in form and they'll keep that form. So I'm going Bunnies, AJ, the pickup put down merchant to score, and Trell to score as well at $4.33. How about yourself?
Yeah, for myself, I can agree with some of the sentiments you made there. I'm not 100% convinced with this Eels team, and the Bunnies were looking really good with Trell there and the halves that they have, or current halves pairing that they have. But yeah, I just the Eels have lost enough games now that they'll be pretty fired up to get a win. They definitely don't want to end up on the bottom of the ladder. So I while I probably lean the bunnies, I'm just not leaning hard enough to jump on them.
Okay, I see where you're coming from in that game. I can see the Eels being fired up here, but I just think the Bunnies are too good at the moment after experiencing the exact same thing the Eels are in now.
Yeah,
They've bounced back, but can the Eels do that?
yeah, fair enough. So no bet for myself. Let's jump into the next game, which is the Sharks versus the Titans. Um, a lot of people looking at Sharks options in this game. I've obviously talked to why I like Nico Hines, but what are your thoughts, feelings, concerns about Nico Hines at this point in time?
Yeah, look, what we've seen from Nico is that he just tends to not be as mentally tough as he probably should be at first grade. He tends to, again, I don't mean to be sound rude or offensive or anything, but from what we've seen, he just does not seem to be a big game player. Unfortunately, he's shown that at Origin, and last week he just couldn't step up to kick a field goal. I just don't think that he's in the best mental space to be playing footy right now, and I think we're kind of seeing the result of that. So I don't really want to pick Nico Hines, even though he's in my team, until he can kind of step up and kick a winning field goal in front of us.
Yeah, pretty strongly disagree with that sentiment. I mean, I agree with sections of it. You can certainly make the argument that he's not a big game player, but I'm pretty sure the Titans and Tigers are not big games. Sharks versus Titans and Tigers are not big games. He has been a consistently high scoring super coach player for a reason. He manages to accumulate points very easily in games, regardless of how good he does look in those games. So as a super coach option, dropped 228k from his starting price down to 740. I'm all over that. at this
Yeah,
point
did he
in time.
break a mil earlier this year as well? That's
Yeah,
insane. He's dropped that much.
yeah. So dropped a heap of cash. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
I feel like you just have to get on this round, in my opinion, if you don't have him, and you have to captain as well. Um, yeah, like we'll be looking to bounce back after last week. Just everything points Nico, in my opinion, for this game. But outside of Nico, Ronaldo Mulatalo's fallen to 469K. Um,
Yeah, I picked up at 750.
yeah, that sucks. But would you be targeting him now that he's fallen to this price if you didn't already own him?
Oh, I definitely would be, especially if you think the Sharks are going to turn their season around from the past couple of games. I know they're in like what, fourth, but they haven't been playing great footy recently, which is really weird to say.
Yeah,
If you think the Sharks are going to kick towards the end of the season, I would definitely be picking up Ronaldo.
yeah. I feel like the Sharks probably need to pick things up at this point in time. So Sharks options around this period are probably going to be good, and I think Ronaldo's another good option there. But you've got plenty of decent options in the center wing for this round. But yeah, definitely can get behind uh, picking up Ronaldo this week. Another one there, Dave for feeder, pretty highly traded in as well. Don't really need to talk about why that's a good trade in, but
Yeah, I think we've covered him enough over the past couple of weeks to say we
yeah,
both want him, but we don't also want to be like screwed by him getting picked for Origin out of nowhere either.
well, yeah, I'm an owner at this point
Yeah.
in time, but yeah, like I think there's a decent chance he gets picked for Origin 3 with the Queensland's performance in a lot previous game, but who knows what
Yeah, who knows?
Billy
We'll
is
see what
thinking.
happens.
Yeah, so I yeah, at 830K at this point in time, I don't think you need to take the risk on Fafita, but he's definitely someone you want for the run home.
Fair enough. I think we've covered all the Supercoach relevant players. Is
Yeah,
it time to get into betting?
yeah, let's do it.
Yep. So what do you have for this game?
For mine, I've got the Sharks over 26.5 total points. I haven't got figured out the best odds, but it'll be above my head on the screen. The Titans, one of the leakiest teams in the comp this season, and the Sharks off a performance where their attack didn't really flick. I think they'll be fired up to put some points on this Titans team, and I think they'll be fired up to kick on even if they've sort of been dominant throughout points. They'll want to make sure. So I really like their total points in this one. They're at home. Nico with a point to prove. The Sharks over 26.5 or 27.5, I think is a very good bet. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the points, and I could probably even stretch that and go total points for the game overs as well. I there could easily be 60 to 70 points in this game. I'm not even joking with that one. But I think the Titans do get up against the Sharks. I think the Titans have a certain resiliency in them, and I think the Titans will win with an AKP double for 925.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not saying that the Titans not they've definitely been better recently, but I think the Sharks team will be very
I'm
desperate.
happy to take a side bet on this if you want.
Yeah, happy to take. I don't know, whatever you want.
Just head to
Shark
head's fine.
Sharks Titans head to head.
Okay, I'll take Titans at a line of -4 then.
You want the Titans at -4.
Yeah, okay, we'll do it.
Sharks
Sure.
is 8 point favorite.
-4. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Just take them head to head.
-4.
I'll take the
Okay.
Sharks -4.
Okay, let's do Titans -3.5 then. Love it or leave it.
Leave it up. Just take the head to head.
-3.5.
If you want to be a degenerate, you're already being a degenerate with the head to
Shake on
head.
it. Come on, shake on it.
Why are you trying to pressure me into giving you a worse bet?
I'm like quite literally proving how large my balls are. So come on, give me a handshake.
Fine, but I'm gonna make sure the forfeit is bad when you fucking lose this one.
I mean, good luck with that. You haven't even done the forfeit yet.
Yeah. Um, okay, I've written that down. Yeah, let's jump into the next game of the round. The Broncos versus the Panthers grand final rematch in Brisbane.
I low-key forgot that was a grand final rematch, to be honest. One of the least momentous grand finals in years.
Least momentous. What do you mean?
I mean, the Broncos made it back, but who cares? Like, I mean, it was a pretty forgettable game.
A pretty forgettable.
I
It's
mean,
like
yeah, sure, the Panthers came back for a comeback, but other than that, all it did was make people think that Jack Cogger was a first grade player.
a pretty. That's been the best grand final in the last fucking like 20 years.
Right? 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
That was a
West
better.
Tigers. Benji Marshall.
This was a better grand final than 2005.
It was okay. 2015 was my favorite.
That was the Cowboys one, was it?
Yeah, when Ben Hunt dropped it.
Yeah, that was a pretty good grand final. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. Um,
What about the
I-
2019 one where who was it? Brett Naden tested positive to coke that day.
yeah, I remember that. The Broncos get their origin contingent back of Carrigan, Haas, and Walsh, as well as a few other ins. The uh, Panthers get Luai, Martin, Edwards, and To'o back. So some big ins for this game. It should be a cracker. In terms of Supercoach relevant players, obviously their fullbacks are always going to come up, but they're both Origin players at this point in time. So don't really see either of them as a massive trade in. Is there anyone that in particular stands out to yourself out of these two teams?
Yeah, look, other than them, you've got obviously got the Payne Haas's, you've got the Isaiah Yo's, you've got the even Fisher Harris is an option as well. I don't really see anyone outside of that.
Yeah.
I think all the big players have been ticked off that we know they're good. Don't really need to speak about them anymore.
Yeah, obviously the players we're going to be talking to at this point of the season are the players that we want to have all the way through. You should really only, in my opinion, be making trades to players that are the studs, like the best players in the game, or players that are making you money. Like you're basically trading to someone that's 200K to
Yeah,
bank money, like enough or someone like that.
yeah. Or
Um,
some guys, is going to play 5 games, make a bit of money, and then just keep.
yeah, like we were hoping Fletcher Sharp was going to be, but we can talk to why not.
We'll talk about that later. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. But anyway, so players like your Brian Toto, Payne Haas, people are looking at bringing in now. For mine, I'm happy to leave them for the minute and hope that their price maintains or drops a little, and we can pick them up later on in the season.
Yep,
Uh,
fair enough.
so no one's screaming out to me in this game as a pickup, as a trade in or a trade out. Um, let's talk. Let's talk betting. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, so we saw a very disappointing performance by Panthers last week. Obviously, they were missing a couple of players due to being rested, but I think we see the Panthers come back and with a vengeance. This Broncos team, sure, they've got a couple of Origin players back, but I think the Panthers' back ends outweigh the back ends from the Broncos, and I think the Panthers will win comfortably, 13 plus with Bizza anytime try scorer. I don't know why I haven't written down the odds, but it will be below or above me. So
Yeah. Perfect. For mine, I like the Panthers. Well, I already got on the Panthers minus 3.5 on better at $1.90. I liked that because I think the ins for the Panthers are a lot bigger than the ins for the Broncos. So I think Dylan Edwards probably has been the best player in the NRL this season. That might be a bit bold of a statement, but he's been very, very good. And I think he makes a massive difference to this team. And then you also add on top of that players like Luai, Martin, and Toto as well, which are obviously very big for this Panthers team. Obviously, the Broncos get back Walsh, Haas, Carrigan, but I place a lot more emphasis on the Panthers ins. On top of that, this is a Panthers team off a loss, and Panthers team off a loss are generally a different animal. So happy to jump on the Panthers minus 3.5 in this one, even though they are traveling to Brisbane for this one.
fair enough. I'm glad we're thinking the exact same thing here.
Yeah. Um, the Bulldogs versus the Warriors is the next game of the round. Another Bulldogs home game, and the Bulldogs this year still are unbeaten in home games. Um,
That's insane to me. Like, what are these doggies doing?
yeah, the
Dogs
dogs
of
have
war.
looked,
Dead set
dogs
dogs
of
of
war.
war.
Yeah, they've looked very, very good in recent times. In terms of super coach options, uh, is there anyone sort of screaming out to you in this game?
Not really, to be honest. It's the same problem with the Broncos and Penrith game is you know who the good players are at this point.
Yeah.
If you don't have them, you're aiming for them. Like, is there really any need to talk about how good, say, Matty Burton is, how good, CNK is, how good even Kiraz and Tracy are, Critter? Is there any real point in going too much into detail about that?
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Obviously, we can talk. We know how good they are. We know how good of an option they are, but we can talk to their price. Matty Burns fallen to 568K. He's got 100 break even though, so I'm happy to sit and wait on Matty Burton. Definitely one to watch moving forward. I am not sure if they play round 19. Uh, that would be one to double check.
Hmm,
Uh, they don't play round 19. So maybe one for round 20, Matty Burton there.
that could
Um,
be a decent option there, actually.
Pretty sure the Eels run is tough on the lead home. Also have Wishart in my team, so I might jump to Matty Burton around the round 20, when Munster will probably come back and push Wishart either to the
Fair
bench
enough.
or out of that team. So definitely could be one for around 20, but just watch and see on Matty Burton. A lot of people bring in Reed Marnie. Any appeal at 614K for you?
I mean, actually did bring him in. I don't mind him, to be honest. He's doing really well. He's got those 40-20 kicks as well that do add to a lot to his game. The only problem is with Reed Barney, he could do something really silly and get suspended just for a week. It appears they're actually cracking down on him in particular, with all his niggle and fighting and stuff. So I'd be kind of cautious to get on him for that reason. But if you already have him, you cheer him.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to be making trades in Hooker still. So, like, there's worse trades you can make, but it doesn't really excite me, the Reed
Yeah,
Marnie
fair
trade.
enough.
Um, yeah, outside of that, some people doing like a CHT at 274K. He was locked into the goal kicking and could become a bit more
Is he only
interesting.
274?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
because
I
he
guess he's been off the bench recently, hasn't he?
yeah. So
I mean, the problem with CHT, I think he's a good pickup, but how long is he going to stay in that position for?
yeah, that's the thing, and he's only halfback eligible as well, which is really tough.
Yeah, that makes it a bit harder.
Yeah, so probably not for mine. And then your other players are like your Karaz and Barnett at like 700K. I don't
Yeah.
know. That doesn't excite me. You don't need to jump on it at that price, I don't think.
Yeah, no, you definitely just don't.
Highly traded out though is CNK. Juby trading out at this point with 139 break even coming off a score of 24.
Yeah, look, that was a game in which they scored, what, 26 points or a bit more than that. And I think he's injured, to be honest. I don't know what's going on. He's not participating in any attack at all. He's
Yeah.
barely there in defense as a fullback. I think he might be injured, to be honest. I don't think he's playing at 100%.
Yeah, no, I don't mind jumping off. It just depends what you do with that trade. If you're doing it, if you can flip one of your center wings down to fullback and bring in someone like a Marsby that, or like I don't know, like a Ronaldo, then I like it. But outside of that, for this round at least, yeah, like I mean, probably still trade out, try and get one of those center wings in this round, and then in the future get like a Ponga or a Turbo once we're sort of
Yeah.
certain on their injury position. Um, But yeah, that's probably everything super coach wise in this one. Let's talk betting. What
Yep.
do you like in this game?
Yeah, look, I think the Wars, they shouldn't win this game, but they found some form last week. I think the Doggies are a far better team, but the Warriors seem to have kind of clicked with that Sean Johnson there, which is something really weird to say. I think the Wars win with DWZ to score anytime at $4.20.
Yeah, for mine, I think the Sharks are a far better team than probably a lot of people in the market think. Um, Therefore, I think the Bulldogs win last week was very impressive. And I think that Broncos team is maybe not as good as the market reflected, considering they had all the outs last week. And I was obviously on the Warriors last week. So I think people might be a bit high on the Warriors at this point in time, especially versus this Dogs team that people might not be as high on. Obviously, people are high on, but um,
Hmm.
either way, I like the Doggies in this one. So I've got the Warriors under 18 and a half total points. I like that because of how strong the Bulldogs have been defensively. another home game, and I expect they'll probably still get a big crowd to this one. So I think they'll be fired up to defend their way to victory in this one, and hopefully keep the Warriors to less than 18 points.
Yeah, look, I am willing to take a side bet on that if you want. I think the Wars will end up losing. Well, sorry, I think they'll end up winning, but I think we'll end up winning by scoring 20 points or more.
So on the 18.5, you happy to go
18
with?
and a half, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Warriors. Cool. Let's jump into the next game of the round. The Tigers versus the Storm.
Yeah, and Tigers are back in at their natural resting position and dead last. I can't believe the Eels, though. Did you see they lost and they still went up a place because of how badly the Tigers did last week?
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing for the Tigers there. I thought you were going to say their natural home, like the Leichhardt, they're back at Leichhardt, but no.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
asbestos oval.
yeah, Supercoach wise, for myself, I did have to end up bringing Jack Howarth last week just because of the makeup of my team. Meant that I had exactly 17 players with Howarth in there. He was solid at a 53. But yeah, I still not really a fan of bringing him in. So people that are bringing him in this round, I don't see the appeal at 280k. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I sort of jumped on because I was hoping he would sort of lock in that center spot, which he might do. But yeah, plenty of risk for a player that's even more expensive this week than he was last week.
Who are we
So
missing in that one? Is it Alec McDonald who's normally there? Who
center,
was? Oh, sorry, Remus Smith, wasn't it?
Raymond Smith, yeah, but
Yeah, so
Nini's
he's
out as well. So
he's out. Yeah, Coates is out as well, I think, for another 4 weeks. He could find his way into that team and stay there for a couple of weeks at least.
yeah, like
I don't
Nini.
mind him at 280k, especially if you're downgrading from someone who's not quite performing well.
But I'm not a fan of trying to trade someone in for like a short-term play now, pretty much.
No, I'm saying bring him in as a nuffy, and
But he's
then
not good enough. He'll go back to like he could go back to the bench. Like a whole heap of things could happen.
I get it coming from there. But
Yeah,
I mean, how many people still have Joe Chan from the start of the season?
yeah. Well, that's literally what I did. I went Joe Chan to Howard last week,
Yeah,
and I'm just hoping Howard just keeps the center spot for the rest of the
yeah,
season,
fair
which
enough.
would be
I get it.
nice. But
Yeah.
plenty of risk around that play anyway. Some people bring in like Bronson Garlic. I hate that. Grant's going to be back.
Yeah.
Um, just like that sucks. Waste of a trade.
Yeah.
Um, Eli Katoa at a cheaper price is fallen to 691. Not a horrible trade in, but like a lot of these Storm players you're looking at don't play 19. So I think you should probably start to target some of these Storm players after the round 19 buy. And then obviously not many Tigers players are popular.
Yeah, fair enough. When's C Money back? Is it round 20?
C money.
Yeah,
Um, think around then. I'm not sure.
fair enough. I believe this is
He's
Dewey's. So the one player I was going to point out might be a decent pickup would be Adam Dewey. I believe this is his third game back from injury.
yeah, it would be.
So he is, I assume, going to go up in value. He was pretty terrible before his injury, not going to lie, but he's playing some good footy. I actually don't mind watching him. He's pretty explosive for a guy who's done his ACL.
Yeah, he's good to watch. The problem is he's 511k already. So
Okay, I shouldn't be way cheaper than that after how he's playing last year.
yeah, no, he did actually have some really good scores at the beginning of the year that sort of bumped up his average. And he had a 39 last game, so he'll have a 58 break even. So
Yeah, yeah,
probably not an
what I said
option.
then.
But if he drops a bit of cash, maybe at the end of the season. But yeah, no, probably not an option for this round.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
let's talk.
Lucky
Sorry.
Galvin, because he just,
Yeah, I mean, Lockie Galvin's had some good games. So like, I don't know. I think all your Tigers options that you have, like I don't have Galvin anymore, but I have like Appy and Samuel
yeah,
Fine. Just hold them. Like you don't need to
yeah,
do anything.
definitely agree with that. Hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk betting in this game. What sort of screams out to you as a good bet in this one?
Yeah, look, I know it's at like the eighth wonder of the world, but I think the Tigers have hit a slump and they will continue slumping. This Storm team needs to kind of prove themselves, even though I think they're in first place. They keep on winning games really, really close. Like they'll win by like 2 to 4 points every time. It's really strange to watch. Like I would argue that the Storm are underperforming even though they're in first place. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of like they at the beginning of the year as well, they won like every game for the first 5 rounds, I want to say, like 1 to
Yeah.
12. So um yeah, they haven't put that many big scores on yet. So I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think this will be a very big score in the Storm's favor. They've got Pappenhausen back. They don't have Munster. I know they're missing Coates, but I think the Storm will win and win comfortably. So I'm going Storm at negative 19.5 with Paps and Warbrick to score at 525. And you can tell just by those odds, a lot of people agree with me.
Yeah. For mine, I kind of disagree. I think the Tigers, after a demoralizing loss last week, will want to bounce back at Leichhardt, where they have played well this year and sort of in recent years as well. Obviously, historically, they haven't played as well, but I think they really enjoy playing at Leichhardt at the moment. Um, so big fan of the Tigers. This Storm team missing Harry Grant as well as the players you've already mentioned. I think Coates to Bradley is one of the bigger downgrades in the NRL, considering how good Coates has been. Bradley might not end up playing on the wing there, but I don't see them producing very much. Brent Naden's out, which is probably good. And yeah,
He's not very
just
good.
big fan of the Tigers in this one when you're getting 13 and a half as a line. So happy to take the line. Obviously, don't wouldn't lock them in for a win in this one, but yeah, happy to take the plus 13 and a half on the
Okay.
Tigers.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I just don't think it's happening. Side bet idea. Do the fans boo the Tigers at halftime? I'm saying yes.
Okay, I'll side bet.
That's how confident I am with that. I reckon they'll just get a halftime like booing because they'll just perform so badly.
Yeah, because Tigers fans would, other fans that definitely would boo if they were going poorly. So
It happens all the time. It's really funny. Like last year, do you not remember them getting booed off after halftime of the Knights game after they should have been up by like 20?
yeah, yeah, I
Like the
remember.
one where Ponga quite literally died.
Yeah, I remember that very well. And Tigers fans are very fickle, so
Yeah.
I'll add that to our side bet.
Tigers
Um,
to get booed off at halftime.
yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so obviously some disagreement in this game, but we shall see where that one ends up. Let's jump into the next game though. The Cowboys versus the Seagulls. It's back to North Queensland. I've already spoken to what I like in this one, but let's get into the teams and some of the big sort of Supercoach relevant players. The first one I wanted to speak to is Cooler. I picked up Cooler a little while ago, managed to hold on to him for all this time, and now he's back at fullback. Pretty happy with that. In the end, it was pretty annoying. Like he dropped a whole heap of cash. Would you be looking at picking him up now that he's in the fullback position?
Well, no, I don't think he's going to stay there long term. I think Tommy Trbojevic will be playing there next week.
Yeah, I think the risk factor is definitely there. So I don't love him as a pickup, but
Hmm.
I'm happy that I have him,
Yeah, no, I
basically.
definitely agree with you there. Like, if you have him, you're cheering. Now he's playing probably what is his preferred position, but higher points potential. But is he going to stay there long term? No.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. Like, but it's not that he won't stay there long term. You just don't know because, yeah, because obviously Tommy's an elite
Yeah,
fullback, and this experiment could just not work out and go back to fullback. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, you don't know. So not that keen to jump on at this point in time, especially when you can get like someone like Ronaldo around the same sort of price. The highest trading player though is Amole Olakuwatu at 598k. Would you be thinking about Olakuwatu now that he's fallen to quite a cheap price?
yeah. No, I definitely have him. He's another one of the guys I've had who fell massively in value since I picked him up. I rate him very heavily. If you think again, like you think, if Manly are going to go on a bit of a tear, I think he is going to be a guy to lead them to that. So if you think Manly will do well, I think he's a lock.
Yeah, I can agree with that sentiment to an extent. I might look more closely at him next round. He's still got a 58 break even, so I don't think he's going to go up or down massively. Obviously, he could go massive, but He has 118 in his rolling average from last game, and then a really shit score before that. So the shit score will roll out for next round. So you can look at him either this round or next round. I'm probably more keen to look at him next round, um, considering it's round 19. We're looking to boost our numbers. Oh no, sorry. What am I talking about? He's playing Origin. Um, yeah, no, sorry. Ignore everything I just said. I'm looking at him for round 20.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because he'll be out of Origin then. Hopefully he does play
Yeah,
round.
and you assume he's going to play restricted minutes at Origin as well, so I don't think there's any issues with picking him up immediately after game three.
Yeah, yeah, no. So he's got the Titans in round 20, so it'd be nice if he was playing round 20, we could pick him up. But I'm happy to wait and see either way on Oliver too. Aside from that, Garrick at 686k, an option. Always happy to have Garrick in the team, still hold him. So um, happy to look at that. And then Tom Trbojevic obviously is going to be one that everyone wants to talk about. But how do you feel about Tommy T at this point in time?
Yeah, look, I spoke to it earlier, but at center, I assume he's not at 100%. Either due to injury risk, like you said, or I just don't think he is 100%. So I would rather wait and see him at fullback before picking him up.
Yeah, definitely a wait and see. I can agree with that sentiment there. So yeah, like no need to jump on early on Tommy T. Uh, I think that's probably all of the major Supercoach relevant players. Um, let's talk betting in this one. I've already spoken to why I do like the Seagulls, but what's your bet in this one?
Yeah, look, it is in Townsville. I think the Cowboys are probably a better team on paper than the Seagulls at this point, especially with Tommy T playing center. Sorry, Tommy Turbo, not Tommy T. Tommy T's on the wing. So with that in mind, I think Cows, Holmes, Drinky. So yeah, Drinkwater and Holmes to score anytime. Again, I forgot to write down the odds, but it'll be here, but I don't know where it is. But no, that's my bet.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I disagree. Apart from what I've already spoken to, Seagulls off a few losses and then the Cowboys off some wins. So I think the Seagulls will be fired up to turn their season around here. They're pushing for the eight. Obviously, the Cowboys pushing for the eight as well. But I think the Seagulls will be very fired up into this in this game. But let's jump into the next one: the Roosters versus the Dragons. The Roosters obviously off a big win, and the Dragons off a big win also. So it should make for a really good encounter, I think. Um, Super coach wise, obviously, plenty of players went big on the weekend. But Joey Manu picked up that injury. If you're a
That
Joey Manu,
sucks.
yeah, if you're a Joey Manu owner, what would you be doing with him this round? Because fair few people are jumping off.
Look, it's the problem is he's what is it, a 2 to 4 week injury? Is that right?
I think so. Yes, that's right.
Likely to be towards the latter end. I can see why you would jump off.
Yeah,
The thing is though, if you can hold him, I'd hold him just to save a trade, given it's probably not going to change his form once he gets back. It's just a hand injury. Yeah, I can see why if you've got the trades, definitely take the risk. But if not, I don't see the issue with holding him.
yeah. I'm a Dom Young owner. I'm sorry, I'm a Joey Manu owner, and definitely the boat of holding. Yeah, like actually, how long is his injury now? You've got me thinking about it because maybe he is so highly traded out that maybe he won't be back
It's a month, so
from
one
one.
month.
Yeah, I'm probably still in the hold boat. That makes sense why it's 8.3% traded out though. Um, yeah, a month is a long time, but yeah, I'm still happy to hold Joey Manu at this point in the season. So he'll be back for round 22. Let me just double check their buy schedule as well. Um, they have around 23 buy as well. So you probably only get him for 24, 25, 26, 27.
Still,
Uh,
I mean, and then he may not play in the last round either. Just based on the fact that Roosters are currently fourth. So
Yeah.
you could possibly only have him for 2 rounds,
Well, three.
3
24
rounds. Sorry.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough decision, honestly. Um,
I don't think there's any real right answer on this one. Just do what you're comfortable with. Even though, again, I'm coming 40,000th in Supercoach, so why would you listen to me?
yeah, I'm almost talking myself into trading him out now. Just looking at their run. Yeah, I don't know. There's some really good center wing options this week. So someone like a Marzu or a Ronaldo Mulatalo could become a very, very good option for for Manu. I'm very tempted now that I think about it.
Do what your heart desires.
Yeah, because if you're only getting him for 3 rounds, do you really need him? Especially when you have someone like I've got Dom Young in my team as well. Um,
Yeah, I really don't like the idea of having two players playing the same edge in your team. It can really end up disastrous when that edge doesn't
it could
score.
end really well. It was looking like it was going to end really well on the weekend, but
Yeah.
obviously money went down. But it did end well for Dom Young. He is the highest traded in player in this game. Would you be looking at Dom Young off a 124 on the weekend?
I had him, what, 4 weeks ago now, 5 weeks ago now. I think he's a great player. The Roosters have a buy in a very good position as well. If you can afford him, I don't see why you couldn't just pick and stick with him until the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I can certainly get around that. The price is a bit eye-watering, but yeah, there's definitely worse trades you can make
Yeah,
at
but
the end of the
it's
season.
eye-watering, but he's playing in a team that is consistently putting on points.
Yeah, no, like definitely, definitely can't knock people making that trade, but I think there's better trades and some players that are a bit cheaper, like your
Yeah.
Greg Marzio. Some people are still trading Lomax. Obviously, the appeal's there. Obviously, he's a guy that you're going to want to get for that run in home, but you don't need him yet. Basically, to put it simply, I think you get him after Origin.
Yeah,
Is
definitely just wait a week.
that your opinion? Yeah, cool. Some people going Tedesco still. It's almost a mil, which is crazy. Wish I had him, but had so many Roosters options. Wasn't really looking at him, but what can you do?
Indeed.
Aside from that, Connor Watson, I don't like he's going to play Origin again probably. So I don't know. Sam Walker is a little bit traded out. I depends who you're going to, but obviously Walker Hines I'm a fan of. But outside of that, you don't need to trade him out. Anyone else that sort of screams out to you in either of these teams?
No, not really. I think we've covered all the bases with this one.
Cool. Let's talk their team. What do you have in this one?
Yep. So I think the Roosters win and they win comfortably. So I'm going Roosters, Dom Young to score. Gus Crichton is so unbelievably due. Let's go put Terrell May in there as well. And my favorite, Zach Daddy to score at 29.50.
Yeah, nice. Decent odds for yourself in that one. Uh, don't know about May, especially off the bench, but you know, an interesting bet for myself. I have the Roosters 1 to 12. The Roosters and Dragons probably the biggest or one of the biggest rivalries in the NRL. I think they'll both be very fired up for this game. They're both in very good form at the moment.
You
So
are aware the biggest rival is probably the Roosters beat the Bunnies.
well, I said one of the biggest, but this is the Anzac Day
Yeah.
clash. It's a pretty fucking big rivalry. Um, yeah, I've got the Roosters 1 to 12 in this one. I like them in a tight one. The line is 13.5, which is pretty massive for mine, considering where these two teams are at this point in time. But I do think the Roosters is the better team of the two. Um, and so I see them getting home in a tight one in this one, but should be a cracker.
Yep, fair enough.
The final game of the round is the Raiders versus the Knights. I'm going to
As
be in
always, game of the round, they're saving the best for last.
I'm going to be in Newcastle. So I wish this one was on in Newcastle because I think it
Yeah.
should be a really good one, especially if Ponga does, like, if he's not a late scratching, he does end up playing.
I can't believe he's been named. Like he was meant to come back in round 22, and they're talking about him having an early return in round 20,
Yeah,
only for him to show up an early return 4 weeks early. That's insane.
it is insane. that's probably where we should start the topic of conversation. Ponga in obviously pushes Fletcher Sharp to the bench. I think we both jumped on Sharp, expecting Ponga to come back around at least round 20, but probably
Yeah,
around 22.
can't
So
believe it happened.
obviously it's a spanner in the works. Let's talk to what we're going to do in this situation. What's your sort of plans with Fletcher Sharp moving forward?
Yeah, look, so what we'll find out is he's probably not going to play next week. I'm happy to keep him there. He'll have one more price rise, so it's not too bad, and he can just be a nuppy.
Yeah, I think you've got to, for mine, okay, I'm definitely not sitting him there as enough. I think you have to have two gun fullbacks in the upside potential in that position. Um, for mine, probably the play is Sharp to Ponga if you can find the cash for 19, because obviously the Knights play round 19, but there's obviously an element of risk there. Ponga, is he going to be 100% when he comes back? Is he going to get re-injured? There's all of those questions. So it's a keen watch for this week. He's got a pretty high break even, I think. So it's a keen watch for this week and see how Ponga does go. But if he looks on song, I'm probably going to have to find a way to get the cash to get to him for round 19.
Yeah, so just looking at the Knights reserves here, and the only real player who could stick out to me who could play 14 is Jack Cogger. And to be honest, from what we've seen, I don't think Adam O'Brien has confidence in him playing through the middle. So I would say that I don't think Pong will be a late scratching just based on that.
I mean, they could run a four forward bench. Like, I don't know. There's plenty of things they could do, but
Jaden Brayley, I don't think he's an 80-minute hooker at the moment. He hasn't recovered fully since his injury. I don't think he can make it the whole time.
yeah, I'm just thinking, do we have anyone that could like fill in for 20 minutes? I think Cole would do a job for 20 minutes and at night. I don't know.
Let's put that header there,
I
see
think
what
it's
happens.
less about like who we have, more about where Pong is at as
Yeah.
well. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much about where the team ends up. It's just a wait and see. And in Supercoach wise, obviously hope Sharp gets there, but as a Knights fan, I hope that Pong is playing and he's fully fit playing, and we get the win in this one. So yeah, a wait and see, and a Pong is a close watch. But at the top of the list, I've already spoke to, but Greg Marzu, Will Price, Bradman Best, all highly traded in. Um, which of those are you looking at? Why are you looking at them? Um,
Yeah, so I traded in Will Price late, and I'm glad I did. Just love to see it. Very handsome boy, plays good footy. I could make an argument for any of them, but to be honest, I would probably pick Bradman Best, who I think has the scoring potential out of any of them.
yeah, and I would agree with you there. Will Price with a 60 with a try. So while it's not a bad score, I just think maybe his scoring potential isn't there just yet, and definitely you can wait a week at the bare minimum. So Will Price definitely a wait a week, and a Marzi at 150k less than a best is definitely the best option for myself there. Just gun to your head. Obviously, there's a few good options this week in the center wing. Who would you bring in out of a Ronaldo at a cheaper price than a Marzu or like a Marzu?
I would probably go Ronaldo, to be honest. I think the Sharks have a better run home than Newcastle. The Knights, short term, though, have a very good run if you're looking for something like that. Keep in mind that they're playing the Raiders this week, Manly without DCE, without Hamole. The following week, maybe without Turbo as well. Who knows? He might end up getting picked. I don't think he will, but you know what I mean. Like there's a very big chance of that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the week
I mean,
following, you've got the Broncos. Yeah, I think the Sharks have the better run home.
yeah. I mean, well, if you think about it like this, 19, obviously that's going to be a decent matchup for us with like Cherry and Olakau'atu out. 20 could also be a good matchup for us if they could rest like a Payne Haas, a Reece Walsh, the Broncos. So we could have a couple of good matchups in the next couple of games that don't seem like they'd be as good. 22, obviously, the Panthers is a tough matchup. And then Tigers, Sharks, Rabbits, Titans, Dolphins, I think is a pretty decent run home. So
Yeah.
I am a fan of Greg Marzo. I might have even talked myself into jumping on him
Okay,
for
so
home.
Compare that to the Titans, Tigers by Cowboys, Bunnies, Titans, Knights, Dragons, Warriors, and Manly. I think Sharks are the better run home.
Yeah, no, I am very aware of how good the Sharks run home is. Uh, yeah, I definitely can't knock Ronaldo either. It's honestly, I
Yeah.
probably talk myself into trading Manu out. It's going to be a tough choice though in terms of who I end up going in, Mulatalo or
Yeah.
Marzu. But yeah, that's probably something closer to the game that I figure out. Um, Outside of that, some people nothing to like a Miles Martin, which is the right way enough in terms of he's got the front row forward, second row forward duel, which is uh, a smart play if you're trying enough to play like that. Um, Traded out David Armstrong, obviously highly traded out. Kai Pearce-Paul with 34, something around that. What would you be doing with him at this point in time?
Just hold him. If he doesn't play, he does. If he doesn't play, just play him on the bench. I reckon just pick him on matchup. I can see him doing very well in this game. I probably wouldn't pick him maybe 3 weeks against the Broncos, but other than that, I think he's just keep him. May as well.
Yeah, no, Kai Pearce-Paul I'm probably not going to play this week, but he does play 19. So
Yeah,
I think he's a hold for that round 19 fixture when numbers might be shorter. But yeah, like if you're selling, I don't know. I don't really understand selling considering he plays 19, basically.
yeah, fair enough.
Um, Outside of that, so obviously some of these nice options become a lot now, but outside of that, I don't love much else. Let's jump into betting in this game. What do you like betting wise?
Yep. So my bet of the round was Knights, Ponga best, and Greg Marzu anytime. Basically the left edge at 10.75. I've gone into detail, but I think we're about to see a Knights wash, if you will, and I think we're going to paint the town red. How
Yeah,
about yourself?
I can understand that. I think if you are betting, something like that is a good way to go because that's pretty much just betting on the Knights being on song. But I think there's also the risk of the opposite being true. Ponga comes back and he's not 100%. The
Yeah,
Knights don't look 100% and the ball's not getting
we
up.
don't think like that. We don't think like that at all.
Yeah,
Ponga's
but
on.
betting wise, you got to consider these things. So for mine, there's no bet on this game. I wouldn't bet. Like I'm not betting anyway because I don't really want to bet it on or against the Knights either way. But I don't love a bet either way in this one with the amount of risk, except for something similar to yours where you're sort of
Yeah,
hedging all your bets on one side being true, basically. That wraps us up for today. Obviously, we've got those three kind of weird side bets: the Sharks versus the Titans. Did we decide head to head or
we're going a line of -3.5.
the
I know what
Titans?
you're doing.
The Titans minus 3.5.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to talk me out of my bet, out of my side bet, and I
Yeah.
will not take anything else.
Okay. And then the Warriors under over 18 and a
Yeah,
half total points. I'm obviously on the under. And then the Tigers fans to boo at halftime at Leichhardt,
this could
which,
quite literally be the best prediction ever. That'd be funny as.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Uh, the Storm will probably have to put quite a score on for that to happen.
I think
Um,
it's happening.
but yeah, that's an interesting little side bet there. Anything to add from yourself before we uh, move on?
I honestly need to go to the bathroom pretty bad, so can we wrap this up quite quickly?
Yeah. All right, we'll go fuck ourselves then.
Let's go freak ourselves.